Hello, I'm Erica Vasquez with the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace and Security. This is a profile in peace for the Oral Histories Project. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Samar Minallah Khan, an anthropologist and documentary filmmaker from Pakistan. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Samar.
Thank you.
First, can you tell us a little bit about your work as a filmmaker and the issues you hope to impact?
I've studied anthropology and development, and the connection of anthropology and filmmaking, I feel, is extremely important because I focus on culturally sanctioned forms of violence against women and girls in Pakistan. And for that, it's extremely important to make films that are culturally relevant and culturally sensitive. And one of the issues that's very close to my heart is compensation marriages. And it's called Swara or Vani or Sangchati and Irjai. These are the different names that it's known by. It's a custom where little girls are given as compensation to end disputes. And often it's the girl who pays the price for a crime committed by her father, her brother or her uncle. This was the issue that I highlighted through my documentary, through my first documentary, and I tried to make a documentary that was made in the regional language so that I was able to target the audience that I was trying to reach out to.
Why do you believe film is such a powerful medium for change?
I feel film is an extremely powerful medium or tool for social change because especially in areas like Pakistan where the literacy rate is not that high, visual medium can actually play a very significant role in educating the audiences or in sensitizing them. And besides that, the impact of visuals cannot be underestimated. And especially if you try to amplify certain strong, impactful stories, human stories, they can actually help in inspiring other people. So that's why I feel film or a documentary can be used as a tool for social change.
You mentioned earlier that you have a target audience when producing your films. Who is that intended audience?
The international audience is not the audience that I'm trying to reach out to. I'm trying to reach out to the Pakistani audience, the policymakers in Pakistan, media, whoever is the stakeholder that I think would be important for that particular issue.
So we know that your work regarding women's rights and violences against women has been confronted with backlash. What strategies do you employ in order to overcome those types of cultural obstacles?
One does face challenges when one is working on sensitive issues like violence against women or culturally sanctioned forms of violence. And I think it's always safer if you work with the community members. There are several tribal council members that I work with who actually speak up against these kind of traditions and customs. Then I work with local journalists. I try to work with local religious leaders. So these are the strategies that I use, and I suppose that's how it's less dangerous, because if you just come from the outside and try to tell people that this is wrong and this is how it should be done, then it doesn't even touch or move the audience. But if it comes from the community, from those leaders who have a voice in those communities, then it has an impact.
Your work has centered on engaging men and boys in addressing the violence against women specifically. Why do you think that is so important, and how does your work contribute to that?
I feel it's vital to acknowledge the role that men and boys play in challenging violence against women. And again, when I say that, it doesn't have to be, something heroic, something really risky that boys or men take. It's just the very simple things that make a big difference. Or if a father stands up for his daughter, I think that is something that really inspires other men. Or for boys to understand that their sisters should have the same rights as the ones that they're getting, that in itself I see as the first step towards a lasting change. So I always talk about the importance of engaging boys and men in this journey and in this process, because unless and until they own this issue as their issue and not just as a women's issue, we won't be able to see or experience lasting change when it comes to violence against women.
Over the course of your career, from beginning to end, have you seen any changes in the attitudes towards violence against women in Pakistan?
Through my films, I have experienced that even like instantly I see how people and their mindset changes when they hear a particular testimony or hear a voice that they have never heard before. So it does take a long time for the mindsets to change, but again, I think we cannot underestimate the power of film. It does move and touch the audience, and that is the first step towards changing the mindset.
What are the greatest achievements?
I feel one of the achievements would be that my first film, which was on compensation marriages, that was then used as evidence in the Supreme Court in one of the cases, ongoing cases against this custom. And that I feel was a very encouraging step for me personally. And the fact that the documentary was then shown on different TV channels with government officials and religious scholars in panel discussions and used as a tool for starting that dialogue, that itself I thought was such an important thing for me as a filmmaker. Another video that I did, it's called A Lullaby for You, My Daughter, and this was made to highlight the importance of education for girls in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Lullabies are usually made for sons only, but this one we developed specially for girls with the help of local poets, and I did the filming in Afghanistan and Pakistan just to show images, positive images of fathers taking their little girls to schools, or male teachers encouraging little girls in schools that are literally made of mud, but encouraging those girls to solve math problems. So that video has been shown in Afghanistan on their TV channels, in Pakistan, and that too is being used by government and non-government organizations for advocacy and to highlight the importance of education for girls.
And finally, this is our last question, which we ask each interviewee for this project. What do peace and security mean to you?
Peace and security for me means having rights, basic human rights, and the right to speak up, the right to challenge injustice. I think that I personally feel is peace.
Samar, thank you so much for being here with us today. This has been a profile in peace for the Oral Histories Project. To view more videos like this one, please visit us at GIWPS.georgetown.edu. Thank you.